What up, y'all? What's poppin'? What's poppin'? What's poppin'? I feel like that last song was like perfect fitting for today. I low key had a random thought, y'all, and I was like, man, I should low key do music therapy or something. Quit playing because I be snapping on the playlist out here. So you never know. Some projects might happen in the future, y'all. But in that, I appreciate y'all coming. Happy Saturday. It's been an amazing week. First week of February. Happy Black History Month to all my black people on the call. It's just me and Roshizi out here, but you know the vibes. But in that, for all those of you who are watching the recording too, no, I'm excited, man, because this book truly is a vibe. As I've been reading the preface, chapter one, like it was literally walking through a lot of what I've literally learned how to do in my life. And I was like, yo, this is different because it literally like, bro, I be trying to teach people this. And this is the best way that I've ever seen like it actually written down on paper. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, he's
Hey,
snapping.
I've been telling you, big dog. I've been
This is
telling
this
you.
is the truth. I literally was like, yo, this is how I live my life. Like this is literally the hack. Like I was kind of talking about some of this on Wednesday night when we were talking about resilience. So it's honestly wild because I hadn't read this book up until last night when Marcus was like, hey bro, this first reading pretty hefty. You might want to start tonight instead of tomorrow. So appreciate you for the vibes, bro, truly. But in that, y'all, definitely game time. I'm definitely excited to hear everybody's take on this truly. If you are free right now and in front of your camera and not in a place where you ain't got no shirt on, because we got women on the call, you know what I'm saying? In that, like, if you're good, turn camera on, y'all. Love to see y'all this morning. I know you be moving and grooving. Here comes wifey. Shout out Tia. Actually read in preparation for today as well. She been on it, but I know I walked in the room. I was like, "What you doing?" Look at the phone. I'm like, "Girl, you reading, girl? Let's go, girl." So this is fire. Truly, I'm excited. We are all making different steps. It's 2025. We going in. We going up. So, with that being said, I feel like it's low key only right because I've been not reading this book for so long and been told about it for so long that I think it's only right that Mr. Marcus Rivera opens us up today because he's been excited about this thing. Truly, literally, this man, from the day that we first put it in there, this man's been waiting on this book truly for a whole squad. So I'm excited to hear your take on it, brother. Take us away.
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate everybody. I'm excited to get into The Power of Positive Thinking by Mr. Norman Vincent Peale. What's surreal is that like rereading, especially these first chapters in my current season of my life, like literally over the past 7 days, has been a surreal experience. I'm not gonna lie, because when I first read this book a few years ago, it's crazy how that was a few years ago. I was sitting in the ER. You know what I'm saying? We had like a few patients. It wasn't a crazy busy, but I read this book over the course of a month, just in between um my patients, in between. It's crazy, y'all, because I barely slept. I would wake up, do calls, and then go to work out, get ready, back at the ER. I appreciate Mikhail in that season of my life because he helped me stay up in times when I did not want to. And there were times where them Z's took me out. I'm not gonna lie.
Real quick excerpt. That's the reason my ass can't sleep at night today. It's because I was up with your ass for so many nights in a row.
Bro, I be telling people that my sleep schedule has taken some intentional work because working overnights in the graveyard shift I don't think it's supposed to be for humans. I'm just gonna say. I respect everybody that be grinding though, you know? So no judgment on this side. But yeah, I'm the reason why I bring that up is because that was a very pivotal point of my life. I read Seven Spiritual Laws of Success, and the second book I picked up was The Power of Positive Thinking. And what really profoundly impacted me was that I had also decided to really dive into my faith in that period as well for the first time, like on the deep end, not like in the shallow part where if we're floating, we can stand up. I'm talking about like you're floating in the deep end, and if you attempt to stand up, that is exactly where toxic positivity started, bro. That's crazy. Okay, but I've literally been called toxic positive sometimes, but it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because I really understand the power behind it and I got to experience it. So I'm really excited for everybody to like not just read and grasp it, but I'm gonna encourage y'all's souls to like let yourself for the first time in your life really embody all these principles with no remorse and with no hesitation because it honestly changed the game for me. As some of you guys know, some of these people on the call I knew back then as well. But I used to be in a relationship, and whenever I really dove into my faith, we had split, and I was in a situation where I was taking on twice as much of the rent. I had a new puppy. I did not know how I was going to get things together, and I knew I had a vision and a dream because a month earlier, when Mikhail asked me what it is I wanted, I wrote down what my vision was and I read it every single day. So the first thing that I recognized that challenges kept coming, especially after you make the decision. And the reason why I picked up this book second to the Seven Spiritual Laws of Success is because I listened to an audio called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. And he quotes Norman Vincent Peale multiple times. And that name stood out to me. And I had received this book for my birthday a year prior. Hadn't picked it up, haven't done anything. And the first thing that stood out to me whenever I was reading the preface, it was the first thing that I underlined back when I first read it. It said, answers in the teachings of Jesus Christ. And the second time, the first thing that I highlighted was that the dynamic laws which the book teaches were learned the hard way by trial and error and my personal search for a way of life. Hi, Brookie. What up, girl? But that stood out to me crazy, and it really helped me go and not just understand the faith, but develop a relationship with Christ. And I was grateful for what he really said. He said him and his wife were taking God into working partnership in all of their problems as well as all of their activities. They would have an earnest session of prayer asking for guidance, and they would put the project into God's hands. And I feel like for the first time in my life, I've been doing that. And I'm so blessed and grateful because in the midst of uncertainty, like he's absolutely blessed me through just allowing him to take control of it. So, reading the preface, I'm not gonna lie, I hit crazy different because it was kind of like this full circle full circle moment for me, y'all. And ever since I started applying these principles, my attitude on living and what I believe truly walking in faith looks like has completely had a 180, and I am no longer who I once was. I am, I find myself in a position for a promise that I've always prayed for, and I get to grow every week with people like you guys. So I appreciate y'all being like a fruit of the faith on some actions that I took 3 years ago when I had no idea what was coming next. And as I was reading this as a reminder, I just want y'all to know there's no better book out there for you than the Bible. Like, please just continuously read it or open it up and develop a relationship with God because that is genuinely all that you need. That's everything that you need. And seeing these principles in this book being played out by choosing my positive way of thinking and my outlook completely changed the game for me and allowed me to be in a space where I now am the closest I've ever felt with God. And I'm just grateful because I don't need anything else but Him. And that's going to be true from today till the last breath in my lungs. So I encourage you guys, like, really walk into the principles. And like he said, first and foremost, the simple philosophy of life, he found those answers in the teachings of Jesus Christ. So if you don't know what he means by that, go and find out. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in the Bible. Read those heavily and don't just read them, study them, like understand context behind them. Take into consideration what is being said and why it's being said, and you'll understand the teachings that was not only told by Jesus himself, but was displayed through the examples he gave. And that changed the game for me. Anyways, introduction, right? You can have a peace of mind, improved health, and a never ceasing flow of energy. In short, your life can be full of joy and satisfaction. And as I focused on my faith, I've seen that to be true as well. Um, he said that he learned a practical method by which he can build for himself, with God's help, the kind of life he deeply desires. And I think the emphasis that he's always turning everything back to God is like, you can have new life, new power, increased efficiency, and greater happiness, but all that is tied into your belief system, right? What do you believe in? What is the thing that you don't see that you have put your entirety of your conviction behind, right? Faith is believing in something you really can't see by definition. So, in the process, walking in that faith allows you to believe in yourself and have faith in who you are. And one of the things that I use to this day is the three sentences he tells himself daily, right? God is with me, God is helping me, God is guiding me. I cannot fail. God is with me. God is helping me. God is guiding me. God is with me. God is helping me. God is guiding me. Confidence is faith in God so that you can believe in yourself. And it's crazy because I know I've spoken about this before, but when you're building your ability to go and do what it is you truly want to do, like you need Godfidence, right? My confidence doesn't come from my own things. It comes from a God that delivers on his promises for me. And that's what I believe in. And that's how I live my life. And that's why, despite what I got going on, a lot of people are asking like why, like how am I joyful in this period? Or like how are you at peace, bro? And a lot of it really comes from something that's beyond my understanding, and it really is given to me as a gift, and it's really because I accept Jesus as my savior, period, point blank. But um so one of the most, he says, one of the most powerful concepts, which is a sheer cure for a lack of confidence, is the thought that God is actually with you and helping you. Like, think for a second. Like, what would you actually do if you could not fail? And then ask yourself, once you have that answer, why you're not currently doing it. I used to tell people, like, bro, at the end of the day, you're genuinely with me or you're not. There's no gray area. Because if you knew exactly where I was going and what I was capable of and that I was going to accomplish it, and you had that absolute guarantee, you would say yes before I even finished talking. And I'm not even talking about going after a network marketing rate. I'm talking about going after a life that you want to build based upon the desires and the goals that God's put in your heart. Like fully walking in that life, not just talking about it, not just thinking about it or planning it and starting over and starting over and starting over, but actively walking in it. And most of the time, actions are not took because of a belief that someone is not capable. And the truth is, everybody's capable. It comes down to you being willing, right? So he says, like, if you feel that you are defeated and you've lost confidence, sit down, take a piece of paper, and make a list, not of the factors that are against you, but of those that are for you. I always talk about like taking inventory. I learned that concept from this. I'm not gonna lie, like, all right, bro, your situation's here. You just You and your ex just split. You got to take care of the bills. You got a business and people that are in tune wanting to build with you. You got to figure out how to go and actually invest and become financially literate so that you can develop some financial freedom. Like, what are you going to do? I literally sat down and you can ask Mikhail. I made a list. I was like, all right, pros and cons. Let's see what I've got to work with thus far and what is going to be the best scenario for me to take. And I'm grateful I did that because once I use that practice, and people don't understand this, like you have to like stop taking the advice of writing things down and like actually write things down. Like if you don't have a journal, I think you're playing yourself because there's a lot of eight-figure earners out here that journal. I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to be an eight-figure earner. You know what I'm saying? I know my boy Mikhail's on the same type of time. First time I hopped on a call with this man with the team call, he had a billionaire shirt on. I don't know if he remembers that. Do you still have that shirt? I don't
I
think
ain't
you
gonna lie, that hoe hasn't fit in a long time, bro.
right.
But I know
Let me
exactly what
get
you're talking about.
that.
The black billionaire joint.
Hey,
Yes.
bro, that's fire. No, but
What do you want?
point being is like we understand and then we do the things. And the activity of like writing it down transfers your thought into reality so that you can separate yourself from the thought. I think in this book, it helped me understand that you are not your thoughts. You have thoughts. Yes, sir. You have thoughts. But sometimes we consider ourselves, Christian life, baby. Sometimes we consider ourselves to be in a space where like we can figure it out mentally and think about it. But what you're really doing is confusing yourself because there's a lot of freaking thoughts in your brain, especially if you got a lot going on. But if you take those thoughts and you put them on paper, you can separate yourself from it. And then you can think with a more clear space of mind. The reason why I say clear space of mind is because every thought actually takes up mental capacity, space in your brain. There are electrons that go from there are neurons in your brain that transfer electrical signals. They take up matter in your brain. So if you act upon those thoughts by writing it down, you free up that space in your brain and you can think more rationally rather than emotionally. You can think with a clear perspective, another point of view, rather than the one that was first given to you when you see the problem right in front of your face. It's so powerful. And if you feel defeated, all is good. Understand that the war is not over. Like you might have failed, but if you're walking forward, that means you fell forward. You might have not gotten exactly what you were after, but you're a lot further than what you were if you didn't go after it. Like you're not really defeated until you actually quit and not pursue the life you truly want. I think that's defeat. Living beneath your potential because you believe in your lack versus your capabilities. And I think that's what the whole chapter, right? Attitudes are more important than facts. I've been literally read in my Bible reading yesterday to have the attitude of Christ Jesus. So as I was reading this again, and my boy Mikhail, my boy and my mom telling me, "Hey, son, check your attitude and make sure you're coming from the right POV." Like, bro, it's literally God just reminding everything comes down to the fact that you can't control much other than the thoughts you focus on and the attitude of your mindset. And most people never fully accept that because they'd rather look at themselves as defeated and barely getting by rather than actively capable of doing all things because God is actually with them and helping them. So yeah, that's what stood out most to me in chapter one. God is with me, God is helping me, God is guiding me. And I always literally remind myself of that so that I can continuously build my own confidence and self-belief because you have to do so at every level and every season of your life. Otherwise, the things around you will blind you from the faith that you need to continuously move forward. You'll stop, you'll quit, or you'll give less than what you're capable of actually giving, which is equivalent to not giving anything at all. You got to go after it. And I believe that having the confidence in that is important. I'll let some of you guys go over 1 through 10 because I've been speaking a minute already as it is. God is with me, God is helping me, God is guiding me. Yes, man. Boom. So chapter 2, I think, is one of the most important principles that you can give yourself the process of. It's crazy because one of the first times I reconnected with Amber, we talked about peace. I don't know if she remembers that, but we genuinely talked about our peace of mind. And if you can change your mental attitude, you have the ability to change your point of view, and you can maintain a peace that was already given to you. You just have to accept it. And for a long time before I read this book, before I got into my word and in my faith, I was always looking for peace rather than understanding that I already have it. I just wasn't accepting it. So instead of generating that from the inward, I was seeking it from the outward. And there was no way I was going to get it because that's not how it's given to us. But those that dive into their word, You know that peace is a fruit of the spirit. So you've got to accept and allow the spirit to work in your life so that you can actually get God's gift of peace. And he literally says it. He goes, the chief struggle then in gaining mental peace is the effort of revamping your thinking to the relaxed attitude of acceptance of God's gift of peace. He goes, as an illustration of taking a relaxed attitude and therefore receiving peace, I always think of an experience in a certain city where I lectured. And then he went into talking about his conversation where he was letting individuals know that the Lord is with him and he's at both ends of the line and in between. He's the beginning and the end and the middle. And a lot of the times we find ourselves in the middle, but that's where he meets us there. He genuinely does. And sometimes when we're going through a lot of things, it's hard to maintain that peace because our attitude of mind is focused on the negativity of the situation rather than on the blessings and the positivity that can generate that general peace that overcomes anxiety. You know what I'm saying? That general peace that profoundly allows you to navigate an extreme level of chaos and not understand how other than shout out the Lord. It's been wild this past 4 years, bro, and I can't explain it other than when you ask him for help, he'll help you. He goes, go on and cry for a minute or two and then pray. I suggested simply tell the Lord everything that is bothering you. Even though he put up a big front, he was sick of all of it. And he literally told Jesus, please help me. Like and earnestly meant that. He emptied his mind and he received a peace as a gift from God. I like to view it as whenever I go and have conversations with God in my times of prayer or throughout my meditation, I literally ask him to help me just leave it all at his cross and then allow me to have the strength to not pick it back up so that my mind can be emptied of my situations or my problems and I can stay more focused on what he has for me, what it is I've already been given to carry out what he's telling me to do. So I can be obedient rather than disobedient or lacking the willingness to move when he tells me to move. A lot of it comes from our mind being bumbled with XYZ problems and how are we going to get from A to C when I got D to worry about and E's about to jump over, you know what I'm saying, and F you up. I'm just messing. But overall, the genuine aspect of it is allowing your mind to be transformed. I always tell people this because I really do believe personal development is so important. It's biblical. Romans 12:2. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So he can transform your entire life, but you have to be open and willing to allow your mind to be completely different than what it is. You got to have different beliefs and perspectives than what you currently have. And that is scary as crap. I'm not going to lie to you. And it's hard to understand. But if you accept that he's got you and that he will provide that peace for you, then you can genuinely open your mind up to the possibilities he has for you. Period. I think the last thing I wanted to touch on is uh, the importance of your words. The importance of your words. And then I'll shut up. He says, talk peaceful to be peaceful. Start each day by affirming peaceful, contented, and happy attitudes, and your day will tend to be pleasant and successful. Eliminate from conversations all negative ideas. Shout out my family because in a time where I was mentally struggling on Tuesday, both my mom and my stepdad repeated something I say all the time, and it was just like a nice little refocus. They're like character building day. And like I don't even allow myself to say that I have a bad day anymore. It's not existent in my mental capacity, in my vocabulary. There's no such thing. There's nothing good or bad. Everything just is. So in the process, you add meaning to it, and everything is really building up my character and who I am. So your thoughts and your words and your attitudes are connected, right? You think positively, you'll have positive words to say, to talk about in your inner dialogue to yourself, and then you'll have a more positive and peaceful attitude of mind. So fill your personal and group conversations with positive, happy, optimistic, satisfying expressions. So here's what I want to say, and I'll leave it on this. I believe in every single one of you guys, and I genuinely feel as though if you fully operate in the positivity that you were always designed to think in, to operate in, and to believe in, everything is possible for you. I know that nothing is impossible with God. And I know that we're all seeking not only to better ourselves, but to impact those around us. And y'all, that is a spirit of the excuse me, that's a fruit of the spirit. You guys are seeking to serve. You guys are seeking to love one another, to make a better impact, to have a better environment. And that isn't to be taken lightly. So just know, guys, that you are capable of more than you think. All it takes is your willingness to believe in yourself, to think from a positive point of view, and to have faith that God is with you every step of the way. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all letting me ramble a little bit. But this book is one of them ones, and it's thick. So I'm excited to hear what things stood out to you guys and what you really got from the first few chapters. Much love. I'll pass this thing over to either Amber. Amber, if you're ready, you can go, girl. I know you.
What up, everybody? Yes, I am ready. Um, let's do this. How's everyone doing? Good morning, good day. I think I'm gonna close this window real quick. Hold on. 'Cause it gets loud. All right. So, um, one, grateful to be here, grateful for every single one of y'all and this space. Thanks for holding this space. Thanks for showing up today, this morning. It really, really counts. It really counts towards your vibration, towards your life, towards everything. So, this book, I really, really enjoy this book. This book is like one of those foundational books. Like this book goes along the same lines of Think and Grow Rich, of like the Stranger Secret audio. Like there's just like some main foundational pieces of like, I don't know what you would call it, words, media, truth that are essential to our growth and development. And so this book is one of those books. And so like I'm just so grateful that we're going through it. So the last chapter is the one that I really want to talk about. It's really because it's one I read last night. So it's like the one that's fresh on my memory. Which it talks about that in the book. So when it talks about like a peaceful mind generates power, of course, everything is in divine alignment. Everything is so timely. I needed to generate a peaceful mind because I didn't feel peaceful in my mind. And I knew, like we know the work, we know the things to do, the things that we need to do. And so like having these systems in place like book club and having these habits, like that's literally what it's for, like to remind us, to keep our acts sharp, like to keep our mind sharp and our like a reminder of this. So in reading it, one of the first things I want to point out is like it talked about what you digest right before you sleep. Um, just in general, and of course it talks about in this book, like just how important that is. Like the things that we take in right before we go to sleep, right when we wake up, throughout our day, like we must be mindful and we have to be aware of how much it contributes to our vibration and the way that we feel and the way that we think and what we create. Like every single thing that you hear and like see and feels, taste, and touch, like those are your gates. Those are your gates towards your subconscious mind and to your power. And so it is our responsibility to make sure that our environment is conducive to what it is that we want, that we are constantly taking in things that we want. And so like the news, right? I talked about the news and how when he was taking in the news like the night before, he wouldn't feel good. Like he would feel stressed, he would feel um all this negative stuff. And like when it comes to the news, like honestly, I relate a lot to Marcus, like when it comes to like the whole toxic positivity thing. And it's because like one, it's not toxic positivity. It's just it's it's practicing spiritual law. Like it's practicing faith. Like we must be in the vibration of what it is that we want, you know? So like it's not an ignorance of the negative things that are happening to the world. No, it's an extreme awareness of what is going on and our power to actually do something. Like there's things going on in this world that are negative. There are fucking horrible, I'm sorry, but there are horrible things going on in this world. Horrible things all the time. But just the way that there is horrible things going on, there is amazing, loving, wonderful things going on and being created. That it is what it is, right? And so what you want to experience and what you want to contribute to is based upon you. Like, so if you really want to help and you really like want to do something about it, you can't focus on it. Like you have to shift your focus. You must think about what it is that you want and think about how to like get better and feel better so you can actually make a difference about it. And I don't know, like for real, I've had that conversation a lot, like with different people in my life, especially recently with like I remember one time like a couple weeks ago I was hanging out with somebody and there was this documentary on and it was like a killer documentary about these killers. Like I don't know, it was like the word killer was in the name. And we were like watching it, hanging out, like it was in the background, and I was just getting anxiety. And um I just asked, I was like, hey, can we turn this? Like, can we put like a funny movie on or whatever, this and that? And my friend was like, yeah, like, sure. And then they had just mentioned, like, they're like, yeah, like, sometimes, like, you know, like, I get that with you. Like, you don't like really ever like to watch like real stuff like this. And I'm like, no, that is not the case. I am very much aware of what's going on, but watching this is not going to help me. It literally feels bad. It's horrible. Like you already are thinking about negative stuff. This is not going to help, like in the conversation and the vibration, you know what I mean? And so we really have to be mindful of that. Like we have to. And, you know, I feel like that's part of the sacrifices that we have to make. Like there are certain things that, you know, might be interesting to us. Like, you know, there's people who are into like crime shows or this and that. But at the end of the day, it's about what do you want? And there are certain things that you must do and sacrifices that you must make to get that, you know, and a part of that is not talking about or thinking about what it is that you don't want or what's going on. And that's what it talks about here in this book and here in this chapter. Like, uh, one of the first things it says is the primary method in gaining a mindful of peace is to practice emptying the mind. And so I believe in emptying the mind. You know, I believe in like I call it like let it up so you can let it out. Right. I talk about that a lot in the powerful creator community and how it is our responsibility to let it up and to let it out. And like we have to do that. A lot of times if we fester things or if we hold on to things or if we don't um you know, like if we feel guilty about something or anything, like if we're too busy to deal with our emotions, like it's gonna come up, it's gonna come out. And if it doesn't come out intentionally, if we're not intentional about managing our emotions, it's gonna manifest into a projection. It's gonna like come out like it's like in one way, shape, or form. So with that, like since we already know that that's gonna happen, like it's our responsibility to take care of that for ourselves and be intentional about that. What I loved is after it said that, it said immediately start filling your mind with creative and healthy thoughts. Then, when the old fears, hates, and worries that have haunted you for so long try to edge back in, they will in effect find a sign on a door of your mind reading occupied. They may struggle for admission for having lived in your mind for so long, they feel at home there. And I really like that because we have to be mindful about that's like with Marcus with the whole toxic positivity thing. Like there is literally only a certain amount of times that you can talk about a situation that you don't like or um that you don't want to keep experiencing. Like literally, like this, like it's called, it's a game of life. This is a game of vibration. It's a game of words. The more seeds, like we plant seeds with our thoughts, words, and emotions and actions. The more seeds, the more literal seeds that you plant towards a conversation, towards a situation in your life that you do not like, the more energy you are giving it. Whether you're complaining about it, whether you feel like you just want to talk about it because you just want to vent, you must be mindful of the number of times and the amount of time that you are giving to that. And what it says in this book and what I read in multiple books is like it's really only one or two times. Like one to let it out, to be aware. And then it says here, immediately start filling up your mind. Immediately. The moment that you let it up and you let it out and you let it go, you're like, all right, you have to, there must be a decision where you decide, okay, I am no longer talking about that anymore. I am no longer talking about that and that in this vibration, in this tone. Like, no, and the thing is that we have to be aware of how much power we really have. Like you can change your memories. You can change, you can go back in your life and have horrible memories of your childhood and go back and rethink them and look at them from a perspective of how they empowered you. And that's how you heal. That's literally what healing is. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a change of thought. It's all a change of thought. And so it said, Philip, when the old fears, hates, and worries that have haunted you for so long tried to edge back, they will find a sign on the ride meeting occupied. Like we have to be so busy with taking care of ourselves, with talking about what we want, that like we're too busy to think about the negative. Like literally we're too busy, we're too busy to sulk and to be mad and to complain. Like you have to, right? And that's why honestly we have so many systems in place, like all of these calls. Like why I think we have a call every single day, because every single day we need to make sure that we're on it. Every single day we need to make sure that there is something plugging us into our dream, something plugging us into what it is that we desire, that we're creating. And like we need help. It's not easy. Like that's why we're doing it together as a community. um and so then the last point I'll make is they may struggle for admission for having lived in your mind for a long time. They feel at home there. We really have to be aware of ourselves and our negative thought patterns that have created what we've been experiencing that we don't want. It is going to be easier to think about, to complain, and to be negative, and to be like, woe is me, and think about it in a negative way, in a sad way, in a way that's not helping you. Because we always have. It makes sense. We've watched our parents do it. We watched our grandparents do it. Every single one of us, I'm pretty sure, are the first ones in our family who is deciding to have a new thought pattern. They didn't even know that was an option. So like we have to have grace on ourselves. We got to have grace on ourselves um through this process, and understand that it's gonna feel comfortable. It's gonna feel at home. Like it's gonna feel like it's part of your subconscious mind. It's gonna feel um familiar to just want to sit back and like complain, and just to go back and doing what you were doing and having that regular conversation of like of just being people, like of just being like, yeah, it's all right, like I'm just getting by, I'm just seeing what God has in store for me. And it's just like no action, no waiting, just this hopelessness vibration. Like if you say that, like if you ever say the words, like if you ever bring God up in a sentence and it's like, I'm just waiting for what God has for me, and the tone that you say that is in a hopeless despair, like no, you're not. Like I don't know how to explain that right now, but it's in a not that's not in alignment with what you're saying. Like if you are waiting for what God has for you, then you are excited. You are fucking on it. Like, yes, let's go. Okay. So, sorry, going on a tangent. I'm complete with that. And that's really what I have to share about that. Um, I'm really grateful for that, because it was a really great reminder to like the power of our mind and how crucial this stuff like really, really is, and how crucial our thoughts are, Like there are a lot of times where like it doesn't make sense what's going on in our lives, and like we're changing it and we're growing, um and it's frustrating to hear that the way that you think about it is the problem. But it is like that's how powerful you are. And like the hard work is just making yourself feel better and making yourself think a different thought. At the end of the day, every single moment of time, all you're dealing with is a thought, and a thought can be changed. Um, and that is like the biggest thing ever. And like to me, that just gives me a lot of hope and a lot of peace because I can do that. I can tune in. I can control my thoughts and I can tap into like the power of God that's within me and get clear. And if I just moment by moment view myself as abundant and know that I am walking in alignment, all is well. Always will be, always has been. All we're doing is managing our vibration in every single moment in time. And I know it's not easy, but it's worth it because we are out here making our dreams come true. And so that is my take on this chapter. And I popcorn Sam.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Do I see double digits on this beautiful Saturday when nobody's on twice? Let's go. Yeah, I know y'all heard this book was one of them ones, and you saw Marcus opened up, super excited. This is life-changing. And the second half that I caught of Amber, she was going in. Like, I know I see her on her story. She's plugged into this book, so I'm excited to hear y'all's perspective on this. So I appreciate y'all. Um, to be transparent, I'm not able to get the book. So I will speak on what I heard and the positivity that um I've learned just being tapped into this squad and everybody, all the leaders, because I mean it's huge. And I'll speak to myself on this. I heard formal education, will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. So I'll dive into this and I'm speaking to myself to be completely transparent. Like we can of course, stay close to the campfire, and we could, of course, pour into the leaders that are the servant leaders that do this for the love of their people, and we could lean on them and have them tell us what we want to hear, tell us what we need to hear, tell us what we should be thinking, or we can take the intentional time to dive into our for ourselves because the self discovery is the most fulfilling and blissful and powerful thing you can give yourself. I know Amber was speaking about personal power and people people just it's either they choose not to or they're scared to, but for whatever reason don't dive into their own personal power and don't discover their true selves and how powerful they can truly be within themselves. So through the power of positive thinking, I mean this is no joke. The last 8 9 months that have been preparing me for each and every season that we continue to go through in this current season of transition is it's been truly uh, evident. It's right in front of my face. It's as real as it can be. The way that you move is completely different. Like Amber was saying, obviously with our past generation having their mindset and being one way, and then some of us, for most of us, this is their first time. We're the first people in our family to think differently, like Amber really brought out. So we're breaking curses, we're breaking generational curses, and we are truly changing the future of our generations to come. I know some of us already have kids, so you're pouring into them now, but for the ones that don't, we're building life-changing decisions moving forward. So it's no joke. It's true, as real as they say. You know, I know with Mikhail speaking on resiliency and abundance, it's truly different the way you move and the way we're all moving. As of recent, like it's the whole, you know, me just personally, with my 9 to 5, there's a lot of moving parts. I'm self employed, contracted with Bimbo. There's a lot of moving parts. A lot of people are getting shaken out of the tree, I guess you could say. And and I'm telling you, 2025 is the year of alignment. If you are not aligned with your actions, if you are not aligned with your belief and where you're moving, you will get exposed. you will get exposed. It's almost like Cat Williams dropped the podcast last year, 2024. Like he was exposing everybody. Like this year, if you are not moving with how you need to be moving, you will get exposed. And with that being said, the way I've been moving, the way I've been so with conviction, I've been studying up on Taoism, where it like Marcus always brings out, like things don't happen. Things don't happen to you; they happen for you. There's not a good thing or a bad thing. Things happen, and we add meaning to them as they affect our lives. So through Stoicism, like Marcus brought out earlier, the way no matter what would happen, no matter what news come our way, no matter what energy somebody tries to send our way, we remain stoic in the way we move. We remain convicted in the way we feel and how we are emanating this positivity. And I'm telling you, man, it's completely different when you have not a lot in your bank account and you're emanating abundance. You're emanating fruitfulness and fulfillment. Like it's completely different to where a lot of people around me in my personal life, as far as like my personal business as my 9 to 5, a lot of people are losing everything because they haven't been moving the way that they should. But to but for everything to just come and like everything come crumbling down and then it kind of fall on my lap to where I have the opportunity, I have the decision to move. Like if I want to buy these routes, if I want to buy the routes people are losing, to keep it frank with you, it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. There's no coincidences. It's only intentional on the seeds that you reap from the harvest that you're able to gather from. So this is no joke. So every season that continues, because mind you, like time moves on, and I've been reconnecting with old friends, and as much as I miss my old friends, I have to tell them, y'all, like I know we used to talk every day on the phone, and I could obviously shoot the shit with you all day, talk about whatever. I could talk about nothing, but it's until we set this time that we are intentionally working on our communication as the relationships that I've been so blessed to find this past year, going into this year, that with the intentional relationship and communicating and getting better, always improving. Like it's so funny to think like I've just been removed from conversations that when things come to me and I'm like, oh man, I haven't talked about sports in a minute. I haven't talked about a dating life in a minute. Like it's very clear to see where people are, where they are headed and where they're moving. And I'm telling you, I would not move with anyone other than anybody on this call for that simple fact that I've talked to these individuals on these calls more than I've talked to my family, my partner, my friends, and the intentional conversations that we have had has been getting me personally ready for the test of this season that I'm currently in. And it's everybody has tests. It can start with your morning alarm, man. Your morning alarm is your test. Are you going to hit snooze or are you going to win? So everybody has their tests. It's just when you get tested, are you going to pass or are you going to fail? And it's the way it all starts with the way you think, the way you move. Like Amber said, we can go back and change memories. A lot of people aren't ready for that. A lot of people are scared to face those memories and those things that they've been played victim to their whole lives. Um, but this I was listening to a speaker. I've listened to a lot. I don't remember his specific name, but he said, if something happened to your life and you've said, I have not been the same since this happened, you have allowed that moment to keep you stuck emotionally, mentally, and in some ways physically. So a lot of people tend to play victim and keep themselves in that limiting belief that that one event has controlled their whole life. So, like Amber said, we could just go. That's healing, right? It's like she said, that's healing. So this is no joke. Like this is for real. This is true. Believe every word. And it, personally speaking, hearing your words and perspective is beautiful. But I truly know that I cannot make it my own if I did not read the words myself. So I talking to myself, of course, but if everyone that didn't read the book, that it's true. Like we could hear these words and show up to these calls, but it's not until we make it our own and commit to that way of thinking and commit to that change that we will really truly see the blessings in the way you move. Because every single book club we've it's all been stacking on each other. We've been learning different angles, but it's all coming together to build our structure of our foundation that we can then build upon and build, families and business and success and abundance. So these are the foundations, the pillars that we are building that TGF, was founded on. This is exactly what it is. So that's really really all I have to give without, diving into the book, of course. So I would just reiterate that this is true. This is real if you believe it real. Words can be in any pattern, any form, and you can read whatever you need, whatever you think you need to hear. But it's not until you actually read the words and take them to heart and make them your own that you will finally see the harvest of the seeds that you have been planting. So I love y'all so, so very much. I'm excited to see double digits on this call. Let's keep it going and let's see who else is ready. I know Amber went. If Mama Mary, I see your camera on. If you are ready, I would love to hear from you. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much, Sam. It's so crazy. I was just telling Marcus, I was like, he's kind of sounding like you. Like, this is great. This is amazing. Because the transformation from when I first met you, Sam, till now, it's like night and day. So I know that you are committed and you are in it to win. You know what I mean? Person for yourself, for yourself and not for, just the clout. So I'm gonna give you some flowers. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of everybody on this call. I've gotten good takes on everybody who's gone, and I did not do my due diligence, and I did not read the book. I let my circumstances get, yeah, shame on me. I know it. I love you too, Miguel. But I let my circumstances this week affect my duties that I needed to do. And I was just thinking, I can't sit here and, I mean, I can definitely be a parent and a mom, but I can't give any advice out to anybody else if I don't do it myself. And like Sam said, we can make these words, everybody else, and we can't make it ours unless we actually get into it. So I am going to go back today once my day is done. I'll probably get done this evening, but I told Marcus, I was like, why does this book sound familiar? And he's like, Mom, I think I gave it to you. And I think you read it, but I don't think you finished it. And I was like, it sounds so familiar. And if it's anything that has to do that brings in God, I don't want to miss out on it. I did not allow my circumstances to get in the way of me picking up my Bible because that's my source, that's my life. And that's what kept me going in my situation and my circumstances. But just to kind of touch back on everybody on what you guys had given, um, it's crazy how when Marcus was talking about finding your peace and the main process, like the midpoint, that's where God comes in, and I had some discussions with both of my girls, intimate discussions this week. And one with Marissa because Marissa's really she's another breed, guys. But she she was actually open and listened to the things that I told her about her situation. And I'm not gonna put anything out there, but we did have some discussions with both of our girls because there's just some things that were not sitting right. And I don't care if I've got 18-year-olds or I got 27-year-olds, 26-year-olds. I'm still going to say what I need to say. But when I see my kids not right, it like it stirs up something that it's bothersome to see them hurt. And I'm pretty sure your parents do that too. It's your parents are hurt to see you guys hurt. Um, but for for me to let them know the things that I've said to them and just hearing the confirmation in these books, I know that I'm growing. I know that I am doing my best to sit here and set a good example um, for my kids, and not only my kids. I want them to be able to shed the light, for their friends, um, and finding peace in the process it's life because like Marcus always says, you're either going in it, you're in it, or you're coming out of it, just for you to go right back in it. You know what I mean? And you've got to find peace, especially when things aren't going your way. Um, and I felt confirmation on that because that was a big thing that I had to tell my kids this week. Um, or just like how to find it. And I can only tell them what I know, and it's me picking up my Bible. That's become something that I don't want to ever drift from because those are basic instructions before our license. That's the acronym for the Bible. I don't know if that's the true acronym, but that's a great acronym that I heard. Um, but I'm gonna get into this book, guys. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna do my diligence because I did not do that this weekend. So I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to what I got out of all of y'all. You guys are amazing. I did not want to sit out. I definitely wanted to hear the different POVs and different aspects of what everybody else read. So whoever is ready, I don't see, except for Mikkel. I see him walking around. Alyssa, Imani, Ro. I love you too, baby. Whoever wants to.
Morning. What's up,
Hey,
y'all?
Matt.
Hi. Um, well, happy freaking Saturday, per usual. Glad to be here. I am, I read, I listened, and it was actually really interesting. I think or either Mikkel or Marcus said last week that to not really listen to the audiobook. Well, you were right. And I definitely will be picking up the book. Um, it was it was hard. Yeah. So the best takes that I have from the book so far, overall, the it was very interesting, his connection to the like faith and the Bible and his belief in God. So I really did. That was very interesting to me. It's not too many books do that. So, but I actually liked it because whether or not it's prayer or meditation, it is like the connection and the conversation. And out of all of the religions that I've been a part of, I will say that was the biggest lesson I learned, is having that connection to God directly, personally, and being able to embody that. So when he said, if you are, he's like, the bigger your problems, the bigger your prayer should be. And it is so easy to get trapped in survival mode where you want to like be in this frustrated state, and it is so easy. But when that happens, you know you can just go straight to your creator, pray, being your meditation, connect, and keep connecting and connecting so things can just smooth out. And that's what I love about what he said, because I mean, I don't know. I think personally, it feels like I should have this on my own, but everybody needs help. What did the last book say? Even rhinoceroses need help. So Absolutely. And what's the best help that you can get from God? God directly straight to you. So much respect. And that actually kind of reminded me, even though it's like I've known it for so long, but I still need the reminder sometimes that it's okay. I'm just a kid. My God got me. So I could just, get some answers and not feel so like that humanly urge to feel shame or I mean, there's a plethora of feelings that can come with that. So it is taking that time to be in prayer, be in meditation, and zone in to like calm your mind, calm your soul, calm your heart, and just push forward. Because even when you start thinking like that, absolutely everything is just constant revolving door of abundance and peace. And dear God, even when the most ridiculous things happen, um, there's ways like you have these ways and tools at your side to be able to flourish instead of staying in that emotion. Just go through the energy. It's energy, emotion, feel it and take it in and release it from the parts of your body that it's stuck in. And there's so many different ways to do that. So bigger the prayer, wait, bigger the problems, the bigger the prayer. Uh, then he says to drive your prayers deep into your insecurities. Wow. Um, on the mental call, sometimes that is always brought up of like being intentional with your emotions and your energy and actually being able to just get it on out. And that is insecurity is a big one. Drive that positively so deep into that insecurity that if those insecurities are triggered, they are just water off a duck's back in flow, very peaceful. And that's life itself. So that's no longer survival mode. That is living. And that is something that I believe everybody, especially myself, including myself, definitely need to always keep dear to them that peace to live, because we didn't come here on this earth to pay bills or struggle and freak out. Every time something happens, we didn't come here to fight or, we came here to love and smell the roses and eat really good food and cuddle with our loved ones and do a lot of other things as well. So that positivity, the positive thinking, and it's a muscle, absolutely. And like you said, Sam, everything we've been learning since you've been on the call. I know Marcus and Mikkel, y'all been here day one because y'all day ones. Um, they like that muscle gets built in time, and it's not always easy depending on your circumstances growing up and what you've learned. So you got to break down those old habits and continuously build on the new, and it becomes a new muscle, and things do work out and things will always happen. That is just a cycle of life, and that's okay. It's okay. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes I fight the air, sometimes I scream. And now that I've been, joining these groups and learning and doing this spiritual and personal development, I have learned to absolutely like transform that mindset. So that's all, like, really what he's talking about is stuff we've been learning for so long. It's just building on top, another thing to build on top of. And I freaking appreciate the hell out of that, because your girl was a different person in LA. Okay. You can't even imagine. So the repetition and the discipline of positive thinking can create these beautiful cycles and plant these seeds and have a beautiful abundance, this beautiful harvest of abundance, peace, and love and joy. And then, of course, sometimes you get the other emotions, but that helps you, literally helps you embrace the more positive things with like delicacy, like it's a delicacy. So appreciate y'all for being here. And I am going to pass it to Ro if you're available.
What up, though? Um, Thanks everybody for sharing. Shameless plug. Google offers the first 42 books or 42 pages of the book on preview for anybody who hasn't yet read the first couple chapters. I was just looking over it right now. Um, the part about one second. So I'll start with the part where he was talking to the old man about how this old man thought that everything was over for him. And the author sat with him and was like, he was like everything is over, and sat with him and made a list of all the things that he has, the assets that he has. And the guy was like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. And he had like a list of 7 things, like his wife, his kids, his faith, the belief in his country or whatever. So there was like a long list of assets that he had, and he was like, huh, maybe I just need to get some confidence. So to me that was like a perspective shift was just needed, you know? And we talk about that in Powerful Creators a lot too. Um, I've just been thinking this whole time listening to y'all about how like everything is a choice, whether we realize it or not. Like, I think the 7 spiritual laws talked about that, or I don't remember where I got it from, but just like the um, everything is a choice, whether it's conscious or subconscious. And so, the like where I'm at in my life right now is a series of like choices that I've made, both conscious and subconscious, and like even the parts that are not good. Like I made choices that got me here. Um, Even the parts that are good, I made choices that got me here. And so, you know, obviously reading this book makes me think about my own life and how there's been like different parts of my life where I definitely was I let some situations like overtake me. And I was stuck in the situation for a while. Like I remember being homeless, and I had a really bad like mental state for a while because of that. Like um I had ended a relationship, like a romantic relationship, and lost my housing, and like didn't have any income, and it was cold in winter, so like it was just all bad, you know? And I was reflecting on that a little bit and thinking about how like I continued to get up every day and like kept doing the necessary things to like get me out of the situation. But I feel like if I had a different attitude about my situation, like I could have gotten out of it faster and I could have been more successful with the way I got out of it, you know? Um, like thinking about where I'm at recently in my life, like I don't want to share too much, but what I will say is that so the author talked about like the feelings of inadequacy and feelings of insecurity and how it often can stem from our childhood or some type of thing that happened in our life that caused us to feel insecure or inadequate for whatever reason, right? And I work with a therapist, which is so amazing, and I tell everybody to get a therapist because we all have a brain and a mental health, and like we all could use um coaching through like mental health related things. Like, so with my therapist, we've been talking about some childhood trauma that I experienced and like how, like, things today, like situations will happen today that triggers that part of my like inner child that never processed some of the things that happened to me when I was younger. And so, like, when I'm responding today to the situation, it's not me right now responding to it. It's like my childhood self responding to the situation. And like until I can work through those situations from when I was a kid, process through and like heal through that and like nurture that part of me, like I won't be able to respond as my like current today self. And so like it's really deep, and for me it could be really tough because I don't like to talk about my feelings like that. I don't like to get deep. I don't like to do the hard work because it's hard work. I've been doing some of the work though, and it like has given me a sense of freedom and like release, like being able to let go of things. So like the feelings of inadequacy, like I can identify with that. I don't want to say I've struggled. I've identified that throughout my life, like feeling inadequate at different times for different reasons. And like I remember reading about emotional intelligence and just what I know about emotions in general. Like feelings come and go, like and we're never gonna stop feeling feelings. I think it's important to feel feelings and process the feelings. But like this book is talking about not letting those feelings and like the situations that cause those feelings to like overcome you because that's when it can be like detrimental to one's development, and growth. So let me see. I think I highlighted a couple other parts. Um there was one sentence where he was talking about by filling his mind with affirmations of the presence, support, and help of God, he had actually changed his thought process. Um Like that reminds me of powerful creators when we talk about their just like how we talk about doing daily affirmations and just entirely the daily spiritual practice and like how important that is to our um like manifesting our desires, and like something that I've been putting into practice more and more, like it's everything is a work in progress and there's never like a destination, an arriving point to life, or any specific work that we do in life. So anyways, what I was trying to say is that I'm working on being more consistent with my affirmations and just like really believing them, like because there was this one day in the last couple months, I don't remember when it was. It was recently though, relatively, and I started to get these feelings and these thoughts that were not good, but I was able to like become aware that I was having these thoughts and feelings that were not they were like negative thoughts. So I redirected my thoughts and like um counteracted it with like an opposite feeling or thought. So for example, like if I was feeling hopeless because I have a past due bill that I don't have money to pay for it. It's hopeless because all these bills are piled up and I have no money coming in. How am I going to pay for it? Feeling hopeless. I was like, I just switched it and I was like, there is always hope. Like there's faith. Like it's going to get taken care of. It's already been taken care of. And that's where the like faith in the higher power or God like comes in because I'm like, I don't know the plan, but God knows the plan, and I have faith in God. So like I'm just gonna hold on. I'm not gonna let go. I'm hold on, and I'll it will come to me. I'll get it figured out. So like when I experienced that, I was like able to like literally like in the moment. It's hard to describe. Like it was just in the moment. I was able to like shift my entire like being from I was about to go down a destructive path emotionally and mentally, and I was able to just bring myself out of it because of the awareness that I had and the tools that I have, so affirmations are really important, and we talk about like the power of our word too and like how words manifest into reality. The other day this Bible verse popped up, so I like opted into getting the verse of the day from my Bible app because I'm gonna get into the Bible some more, Marcus. Okay. And the one from the other day was, let me see if I can find it. It was talking about the power of the tongue, and whoever loves it will something something. Hold on, I saved it. Give me just 1 second. Okay. Proverbs 18:21. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. And I was like, that's really that's interesting. It's powerful. I was thinking about that and excuse me, how I was just thinking about like the power of our words simply. And so speaking life into myself and other people that I care about, even people that I don't care about, there's something really powerful about like speaking life into people I don't like, praying for them and being positive for them. And I'm working on it because I'm not always good at it. But anyway, the point of what I was bringing that up for is just that like the affirmations, they work and they're powerful. Um, I don't know if I have anything else. Let me see. The other, there was another example that he brought up about when he was a kid and how he was skinny and he never wanted to be skinny. Like he always wanted to be fat, and then essentially he got fat and then he was upset that he was fat. Like I thought that that was funny because it just reminded me of how like we always people humans we tend to like want what we don't have. And then when we get that what we want, we like don't be satisfied with what we get. Um which is not always true, but I could relate to that like physical example, like with my body, like my body used to be a certain way. I wanted to change it. I changed it, and then I was still like not happy with it, you know? And um it made me think about how it's important to be grateful for what I do have and what we do have because even if it's not like what I have right now is not everything that I want eventually, like being grateful for what I have now will open the door for me to get what I want eventually and be grateful for what I get eventually, you know? Um, and just learning to accept like where I'm at. Like if I am fat, let me just accept that I'm fat. And I can make steps to like become unfat or whatever, you know, become fit or vice versa. You know, if I'm skinny, like just accept the fact that I'm skinny, be grateful that I'm even alive and healthy and like make steps to like gaining some weight. Which is a simple example, but I feel like it transcends to any part of life, you know? So that's what I'm gonna say. Mikhail, you wanna go?
Sure. Hold on though. Bad job. Hold on. I got to make Marcus the actual host. Change host. That I can use. My bad. Was talking. Didn't realize I was still muted. What up, my people? What's good? What's good? What's good? No, this has definitely been a phenomenal morning. Whoa. I appreciate everybody's takes for real, not for play. Roshizi with the bars, Imani with the bars, Amber with the bars, Sam with the bars, Mama with the bars, Marcus starting us off with bars. I'm like, dude, I don't even know how to follow y'all. Like, for real, like, it's crazy. So I appreciate this, man. This has been wholesome this morning. I'm excited at the fact that my wife and I are the last two who get to close this thing out. Look, that's pressure, and I don't even like pressure like that. I break pressure. So we gonna break that.
They make
Yeah.
diamonds, bro. They make diamonds, bro.
Oh, I know. That's why I say we break pressure. It's okay. They don't break us. But in that though, y'all, this book is phenomenal. I started off by saying like, yo, this is like how I live. And so it was really cool to like put it into words. You know, this has happened a lot and it's often because a lot of these personal development books, as you can kind of tell from the revolving theme. They derive everything from the Bible. It's literally like Power of Awareness, Seven Spiritual Laws. All of these books all mention the same book that we read on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Pull up. That conversation gets real too. It's just as real as this one. It's honestly even more lit. That's the real book club. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, though, this one, we lit. And The Power of Positive Thinking is a book that, as I was reading it, it just put so many different things into perspectives. There were so many different bars, a lot of that were touched on today. I did like the Bible verse that Roshizi just said, power in the life, power, life, and death in the tongue. And for those who love it, will eat its fruit. Whoo. My boy Marcus called me with a suggestion yesterday, and that was a confirmation from God saying, yes, let's do that, sir. I just want to let you know. If you know, you know. But yes, sir. Okay. But in that, hopping into this book, in chapter one, he talked about believing in yourself. This is honestly something that I low key spoke about on Wednesday, and I shared a whole video by Holton Bugs demonstrating his perception of this process. It's literally he literally says, believe in yourself, have faith in your abilities without a humble but reasonable confidence in your own powers. You cannot be successful or happy. But with sound confidence, you can succeed. But literally like says screw everything that came before that word, right? I want y'all to understand. Sound confidence, you can succeed. So in those moments of us having to like bounce back, like dude in his 50s who bounced back, every story that he told who literally had a moment of like bounce back, ultimately what they literally needed was self-confidence, and their self-confidence literally came from their belief in themselves, their belief in themselves literally came from their thoughts. And that's what this book is breaking down. And I absolutely love this because real life, y'all, if a person could literally have a camera into my entire day, when I be outside by myself and I start thinking crazy shit, I don't have note cards, but I have verses in my head that I just say out loud like they do. When I be riding around and I'm like, man, I'm silent, I'm in my thoughts, and I realize, man, I'm thinking so many damn thoughts and I'm trying to call people. I got to get my mind ready. I put on positive music. I put on positive affirmations. I will put on lo-fi and just speak different affirmations in the background. I literally be rapping to myself about what we gonna do. And I'm not a rapper, y'all. You know what I'm saying? But one day you will catch the car files and it'll get real. But real life, is he calling for me? He's tripping. I got a little bit of a CHIPS's if he wants them. Neglet, always getting what he want. But in that, y'all, it's real life. It's crazy because to have unshakable confidence and sound confidence literally means that you have to consistently be in the process. I'm getting it for you, bud, of creating that sound confidence. Like you can't just like get it one day and then it's there forever. Like you literally have to consistently do all of these things and consistently there you go. There for yours. Here. Here. You have to consistently curate and keep the habits of success so that success actually becomes a habit. And positive thinking is literally a habit of success. That's why there's whole books on it. I am. So in that, I was loving this. Hold on. I gotta put my on this stuff and then I can like see here. One minute. No more. Look, empty. No more. All right, cool. All right, so hopping into this thing, one thing that I did absolutely love in here, one story that he told is one that story about dude who just asked him to pray with him. I absolutely love that. because one, it did two things. One, you never underestimate the power of prayer, bro. Prayer works real life wonders. When you can sit there with somebody and actually just pray for them, whether you do it through the phone, whether you do it on a Zoom, whether you do it right there in person. I will say one thing. Shout out to Bible study on this one about a year ago. We literally all talked about just being in the moment and actually doing things on the spot and making a commitment to not being like, I'm gonna pray for you for sure, but being like, you know what, let's actually pray right now. That will transform moments as well. So I was like looking for that moment and then it didn't happen. I was kind of sad, but also I know that it was a growth moment for the narrator of the story. So that was cool. But also he talked about in there and somebody else mentioned it when he started having that guy like break down the facts of his life because he was like, I've lost everything. Nothing's gonna happen. I'm old. Like I don't know where I'm gonna go from here. Long story short, he was just giving up. And ultimately, dude was like, yo, like, I understand everything sucks right now, but like, let's make a list real quick. And this is something I literally did with my boy the other day. It's crazy because to read it literally brought me back to a moment this past week when I was like, my man, make a gratitude list. See, here's the growth and the learning moment for me as a mentor. I definitely could have broke open a sheet of paper and started asking them questions and like actually curated the intentional thought because it's about the power of positive thinking. And if you get off the phone and your mentee is not thinking in the positive light, then you haven't done your job, which was literally why I called that man back and we had a whole 30, 45-minute listening session. That's why I was talking about music therapy. So in that, I realized the real power at which like just controlling your thoughts has and just influencing somebody else's thoughts as well because literally, y'all, we sat there in silence, didn't say nothing to each other, barely looked at each other. And for like 45 minutes, just let some music play. And I was just over there intentional about the playlist, queuing up different songs and making sure some things were going. And then a few of them I just let ride and let God do his thing. And it's crazy what can actually happen when you real life just care about somebody else's thoughts, what can also happen even in your own. It put me into a whole nother positive zone too, because energy is not created, it's not destroyed, it's transferred, meaning there's a receiving end on both sides. So, in that, if you can transfer some positive energy, guess what? The exact same comes back your way. And with that, you have an increased level of confidence. And that's exactly what I personally have found this week as well. Even when it came to Wednesday night, I had no idea what the hell I was about to talk about, y'all, at all whatsoever. But shout out to Bible study. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just be right here and actually listen and pay attention as much as I can. And boom, we caught the end of Bible study. We was on into the call. Boom, we hopped into the team call and we had a fire amazing value session that actually I've had quite a few conversations and it's been impactful for this week. It's been purposeful. So in that, like I love what this freaking book was talking about because I be doing this, y'all. And like in my life, sometimes I be trying to figure out the secret of how all this crazy stuff happens to Tia and I and how we just get blessings on blessings back to back and how just crazy miraculous things happen sometimes to be able to live this life experience that we do even in the process of us going through obstacles. And then I think it back to literally the power of prayer and positive thinking. It's honestly wild. And we attract certain opportunities into our life, and we've been able to live an extravagant experience so far in my 30 years and 12 years with this woman going on 13. It's been an amazing time. And honestly, we curated that with each other on youth group on Wednesday nights, crying in each other's arms in prayer. Like that's how we spent our teenage years. So in that, like, am so freaking fortunate to have been like in these processes and been around people and like actually learning about personal development and the process and the power of positive thinking literally for the last decade and some change. But man, y'all, I'm telling y'all, it does wonders when you get really intentional about it and really start living through it. And that's what I love about this book because it's literally what's his name? Norman? Is it Vincent or Norman?
Norman Vincent Peale.
Norman Vincent Peale. Boom. I keep calling him Vincent Norman Peale in my head. But
It
in that,
passed me some time too.
like, wait, dude, it's literally his narration of his life and going through different stories where he just walked people through these principles. Like, man, if I when I, not if I, write another book, I would do something like this because this is amazing to literally just tell the stories and then connect the dots looking backwards for people as they're reading. This is an amazing, amazing, amazing depiction of the power of positive thinking for me. So in that, um, he also talked about the inferiority complex and how that creates barriers in our personalities. And Roshizi hit it right on the nail when she was talking about childhood and the consequences of circumstances or something that happened in our childhood and it literally causes us to react out of being that person. And shout out her for literally talking about therapy. I was going to talk about that. Like, yo, one, I know it's 2025, but a lot of people are like weird and ashamed about going to therapy. I was one of those people for the longest time. I was like, it just the idea of it kind of sounded weird, so I just never really entertained it at all whatsoever. And then we started Mental Health Mondays, and I realized how much of a space that I actually needed. Period. Y'all, if you haven't been, or for any of you guys who watch this recording, if you haven't been to Mental Health Mondays, please pull up. We've literally curated a space to help guide those thoughts with a mental health coach who's literally a therapist licensed who literally works all around the world named Caroline Martin Frost. She's a OG triple OG, does her thing. And in that, like, shout out to Imani for literally talking about how, like, all of these systems in the entire community has literally, like, we've instilled these processes in everything that we've done. And then, like, we keep reading things that just, like, cement it even more every single time. It's because repetition is literally that father of learning. But literally, all these books say the same thing. I love it when we can hear narrators like true stories. It feels like they're literally, it's like an autobiography. Auto or biography? Autobiography, yeah, when they write it. So it just gives it a whole different feel. I love it. He told a lot of different stories. And ultimately, because the text on the ebook is so like much, I'm not really going to dive into any particular stories because I was really just screenshotting these things. But the last thing that I screenshotted on here was, hold on real quick. Oh, boom. Yeah, it's the last thing I wanted to talk about. So this person, he talked about, I know a man who's a tremendous asset to his organization, not because of any extraordinary ability, but because he invariably demonstrates a triumphant thought pattern. Perhaps his associates view a proposition pessimistically, so he employs what he calls the vacuum cleaner method. That it, by a series of questions, sucks the dust out of his associates' minds. He draws out their negative attitudes, and then quietly, he suggests positive ideas concerning the proposition until a new set of attitudes gives them a new concept of the facts. Y'all, if you don't strive to be anything, strive to be like that man. Period. If you ever have feelings of inadequacy or feelings like you can't, like you're not the greatest trader in the world, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be, literally strive to be like that man. Because reading that literally brought me to tears. I was like, damn, that's how I've literally felt for the last 4 years being a part of TGF. It's kind of crazy. But in that, yo, I'm excited to dive into the skill sets. I will just say that truly. Definitely excited to dive into the skill sets myself because it's a whole nother level when you start getting really intentional. But I will say this, like even as a leader, leading an organization, I definitely have had times where I was like, man, what do I actually bring to the table? And then you got to realize like you bring you, and that is where the basis of positive thinking starts, is believing that you at the table are valuable. And then from there,
you can literally step into learning all of the rest of the skills. You can step into doing and excelling at all the rest of the things. You can step into passing through all of the obstacles. You can step into every other piece of life that quote unquote matters. But where it starts is literally just believing that you are valuable to the space that you are in. So that's what I really got from these first two chapters of like setting up everything. Ultimately, yes, utilize the Bible to understand exactly who you are, whose you are, and what you're here to do. And in that process, just understand that you are literally valuable. Like me and my brother was talking about Trump today, and because me and my parents had a situation this week, and in that, while we were talking about Trump, I was like, man, like people be calling this man evil. Who are you to call God's child evil? That's one of God's children. It don't matter what the beliefs are, what the man got going on, what decisions he making. Let's throw all that out the window. Let's throw all the stuff out the window for 2.5 seconds. Let's just talk about human breathing living people. We are all just people on this earth. God going to do exactly what he was meant to do on this earth, and the plan is happening exactly as it's meant to. Period, point blank. And there's nothing that anybody can do about that. Hey, look, opinions are one thing, but facts are another. And here's the facts: God is going to win. Period, point blank. So if you can believe in that and have that faith, then you don't even have to literally have all of the negativity swarm your mind. And then from there, cause you to react in different ways and also be triggered in different spaces and fill your mind with space so that you can be distracted from everything else that's really going on, causing you to curate different situations that raise temperature levels for absolutely no reason. It's literally like a disruptive thought and a biased judgment of people that causes majority of the problems. So if you can literally just come back to the fact and the matter of you and every other person on this planet are valuable, you can make decisions, you can move through conversations, you can move through obstacles, hard conversations, and really see truth and really progress completely differently because it's a whole different process and pattern of thinking and way of living. That's what I'm loving that this book is about to bring out.
I just want to add real quick to that because Rosie's, I seen your comment and it's crazy because I've had people bring up the topic or conversation and then proceed to making that type of statement. And I definitely understand the point of view. So I'm not saying to not have your belief. Your belief is your belief. I think if you put everything aside though, based on how he started the book, right? He literally said it's truly the principles and thoughts created from the ministry of Christ Jesus. And it's Jesus' words, and it's in the book of Matthew. But he specifically says that the most important law is equivalent to loving your God with all of who you are. But equally as important, it's loving your neighbor as yourself. And that's literally everybody. You know what I'm saying? So, like, as believers of Christ, we're called to do that even when we don't want to. And sometimes it's very difficult, but that's why Jesus came and showed us the example of what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? Because that man was looked at sideways for the people that he was not only spending his time with, but healing, eating with, and empowering to do ministry. Like he had a whole tax collector help build his entire discipleship. And what people don't recognize because the timing of the lifestyle has changed from then to now, it's been over 2,000 years, is the sole fact that back then it was like the equivalent of walking around with Donald Trump. Because a lot of people did not believe in how the tax collectors were treating his people. So the goal is to allow your actions and your light to show people the love that Christ gives you by giving love to others, regardless of what they have done to you. That's why you're literally supposed to give your other cheek when they hit you. That's why you're supposed to, if you're forced to walk a mile with your enemy, go with him too, willingly. Like it doesn't make sense and it's infuriating sometimes. But when you actively practice that in real life situations, and I'm only speaking on it because I've had to multiple times, especially over the course of this past 5 years of my life and walking in faith as a believer in Jesus. Period, point blank. You can believe whatever you want. I'm just talking about what I believe in and what I've read and what I've seen is that you won't fully understand God's love until you're willing to love others as much as you love yourself, despite what they got going on or what their perspectives on. So, Mikhail, I appreciate you bringing that concept up because most people would even be afraid to actually just talk about it. And like, yo, what are we actively talking about? Because as Imani said, we were not here to pay bills and have these societal structures. We were really here to praise and give worship to God and actually be there for one another regardless, you know? So I just want to encourage y'all, like he
Hey,
said, dive into that word, man.
hey,
For real.
real quick, I do just want to clear up something too. I mean, I speak for myself here. This is not all saying that like we're all of a sudden huge Trump supporters. Is that's not what we're trying to do here at all whatsoever. Because that's not period. Like this is we are not talking about our stance on anything that this man is doing whatsoever. Period.
Yeah.
We are literally talking about the process of thinking and positive thinking throughout all the obstacles that are happening in our society right now, and that man happens to be an obstacle. So, this is why I'm saying before you even go into that comment that just hit the comments, what about the children? What about the people? Everything that he's doing to people. We are not talking about them. We are not talking about our judgment about him because we are not the ones to judge. We read that in Seven Spiritual Laws of Success. So, in that, we're not talking about that. We're talking about our positive thinking through all of what he has going on, who he is as a person, and what we're going through as a society and economy right here, right now. Period. He been doing his thing, and it's not been the greatest. He hasn't been making the greatest decisions. Have we been able to connect the dots looking forward? No, because none of us are God. So in that, all we can do is connect the dots looking backwards. And ultimately, the dots are going to align in the way that they're going to align, and everything's going to happen exactly as it's supposed to. And that's it. That's all. There's no opinions. There's no judgments. There's no none of that because God is, period. So there's no more, bud. Remember the bag was empty. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's how it is when we like want to put an opinion because as he talked about, the brain wants to complete pictures. And God literally says to lean not on your own understanding and not try and complete the picture. And majority of our opinions and our judgments come from wanting to complete whatever the person is going to end up happening and however the judgment will end up and however the things are going to be when it comes to the outcome. It literally comes from our brain wanting to complete the picture. But as he states, literally keep your mind focused on success, on positivity, on seeing the opportunity through the obstacles and upon not judging but loving. Period. So I just wanted to clear that up real quick because we brought Trump into the situation. I didn't want it to be political because it wasn't political. It was thoughtful.
Hey, since we're on the subject, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with Rochelle, but I will also agree with you guys as well. I listen, at the end of the day, his acts are horrendous. So what she's saying is factual. So everybody has their role. If you're saying that he has his role in being the terrible person that he is, which that is my opinion, then yes, it's God's plan and everybody has their role to play. And there's going to be a lot of people that also have a role to play of saying, Donald Trump, look what he's doing to our country, look what he's doing to our people, can completely understand where Rochelle is coming from. So I don't want it to be like, I don't want like Ro, I feel you on that. But I also understand it's not our place to question the way of the universe, but it is also our responsibility to do everything we can, not only for ourselves, but for our community and creating a strong community. So just throwing that out there, because this is book club, you know, book club, everybody is entitled to their own beliefs.
I agree. And I think that for me, it's like we're all entitled to our own opinion about what's going on in the world and politics and whatever. But regardless of what's going on, the craziness that is going on, because I'm not going to say he's out here doing a good job because he's not. But um, it's not our job to throw hate towards any person and always to pray for our country and pray for our people and stand on business without throwing hate. So that's kind of my perspective. But going back to the book, y'all said everything I was gonna say. Imani just said the first thing I had written down. I was like, well, there goes that one. And then Rochelle said the next thing. I was like, well, there goes that one. And I
You
mean,
can
I don't
give
know
your
what else.
perspective on the same thing, sis. It's like it's your life, so it's gonna be a different outlook.
I know I'm trying to learn how to do that. But I guess some of the things that I highlighted, and I only read the first chapter, because I was trying to rush through it this morning. So I'm gonna finish second one this week and then the rest, whatever. But I wrote down, or I highlighted the part that says when he was speaking to the guy and he was so stressed about what was going on and he wanted to speak with him after, and he was saying that if I succeed, it means everything to me. If I fail, I'm done for. And I feel like a lot of people have that mindset when we're so focused on one specific thing that we want to happen in our life, and you're so hyper focused on it that you can't see the bigger picture, that if something doesn't work out your way, then it is going to be okay. Like your life isn't over. And I remember so many times where I've needed something to come through and you literally feel like you're going to die if something doesn't happen the way you want it to. But in reality, you get through those things every single time. And it's not, everything isn't over. Everything isn't done for. Like you still have things to live for. And that's why it is a good idea to look at the positives that you have going on in your life, because all things work together for our good. So I think like that was a good thing to remember, that regardless, even if things don't work out the way you want them to, they're still going to work out in the like in your favor, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then I wanted to talk about the part where he was talking about the A and C students, because I literally remember how much my dad was like obsessed with me getting a good grade and I was a straight C student. And he was just so mad about it. He was like, it's really not that hard to get an A. I was like, are you in school? Because there's so many things that go into like getting a good grade. It's not just, are you smart? You know what I mean? And then I remember being so frustrated with my dad because he doesn't understand the pressure that you're in when you're in school and you're trying to get a good grade, and then you have kids and friends and like all these outside things that are stressing you out while you're trying to learn. Um, and side note, I used to babysit this little boy that is now like in like a level of being gifted. Like he's really smart and he's only like 8 years old, and he's going to go to like a gifted school. He tested in to go to it, and his mom shared this message yesterday on Facebook, and she was like, my son just sent me this, like, and it was basically this speech of this young guy, and he was like, every single day you send your kids to school, they become less and less intelligent because they're only focusing on one part in school essentially. And people have like, you're basically taking away all of these creative things that we have as children. And like it's just, I don't know, there's so much that goes into it, but I thought it was very interesting how he was saying that just because somebody gets an A in college doesn't make him the greatest man in the United States, because maybe his A's will stop when he gets his diploma, and the fellow who got C's in school will go on later to get the real A's in life, which is like, I just feel like that's like so many people who are the underdogs in school, then like they get into the real world and they're able to use their creativity and all these other outlets, and then they are winning at life because they're not so like programmed to like, oh, I just have to win and be good at school, you know? So I don't know. There's that. And then I wanted to touch on the prayer part, how you know, learn to pray big prayers. God will rate you according to the size of your prayers. And I was thinking about this the other day because I was thinking like when you're going through something big, like you tend to be like really deep in prayer and like you're praying big prayers. And then sometimes when you're not going through something really big, you like I still pray every day, but sometimes I feel like I'm not like I was thinking about the other day, I was like, dang, I feel kind of bad that I haven't been in such deep prayer like I was in when I was going through a bad season. But then now I'm like, maybe it makes sense because obviously you're supposed to be grateful and like pray through the good and the bad times, which I do. But I was feeling bad that I was praying harder through harder times, but really it makes sense to do those things. Like I don't know. I don't know, it kind of is confusing. I'm trying to here, Daddy help you. Okay, calm down. But anyways, the prayer thing, it was just kind of interesting to read that because sorry, they're both whining right here. Here. I don't know where it is, baby. But that was cool to read. Baby, I don't see it is. Here, go find it in your room. I think it's in your room. Anyways, I'm kind of losing my train of thought, but that's kind of where I am at the part of the book. And I was just getting into the guy when he was driving in the car and the guy was worrying about how he was driving and he was like, hey, like relax, don't worry, like I drive all the time, like I got this. Micah is so cute. But I was just thinking about sometimes I can be that way where I worry about everything and I'm like, "Ugh, I have to make sure so and so gets home safe or Mikhail gets home safe from being outside or Brooklyn is safe at school and I like panic a little bit. Then I'm like, okay, let me calm down, let me pray about it. And everything's fine, positive thinking. So I'm just trying to like rewire myself to like not be such a worrier and be more into like positive thinking. So this is a good book to read for that, I feel like. And that's kind of all I got. Does anybody else have anything else to say? Otherwise, we can wrap it up.
Micah, man, just smiling in the, in the camera there. But what's up, y'all? I appreciate everybody coming in and honestly, being open enough to talk about y'all's perspectives, and to communicate and discuss as well. But I am honestly excited to see how the principles and the direction of this book impacts y'all's life. Again, I encourage you guys to spend time in your word and actually implement the things that you're reading so that you can see that change as well. I'll leave y'all with something real quick, and I didn't hear anybody say it, but I feel like it's important to touch on, and then we'll close this thing out. But he quoted Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he declared a tremendous truth. They conquer who believe they can. And he added, do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Practice confidence and faith, and your fears and insecurities will soon have no power over you. Run at what you fear. And if it scares you, good. Lean into it and lean upon the confidence and the faith that builds you up, that holds you firm in your foundation. And as you're thinking from a positive perspective, getting uncomfortable and implementing new ways of thinking and new perspectives than you're usually used to, understand that it's literally allowing for the transformation of your mind through the renewal of your mind so that you can step closer to that authenticity of who you're always destined to be. I believe that everybody's definitely already started their journey and their paths along that line, and faith is going to keep you strong to see it through. And like I said, I believe in every single one of y'all. So again, appreciate y'all helping us make this space exactly what it is and being in tune, again, to show up for yourself, because you guys are going to be the ones that impact not only your life and your families, but the communities around you and those who haven't even come in contact with you yet. And that's the real blessing in all that. But next week we're going to be covering chapters 3, 4, and 5. I recommend getting the book. It's a great book to always reference to. I've referenced it multiple times in my life throughout the first time that I read it. More like I would turn to a specific chapter that has helped me crazy throughout in the past, and I'll remind myself of something specific that has been said. So having it on hand is handy. And if you got access to everything within TGF, then you have the actual ebook if you want that already at your disposal. But appreciate everybody. Much love. I hope you guys have a good rest of y'all's Saturday. And as always, we'll see y'all at the top. Appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace. Bye, fam.